Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue that exploded across Port Charles on Wednesday, July 30th, and sent emotional shockwaves through nearly every major character. Beneath the surface of whispered conversations and uncertain loyalties, old grudges reignited, hidden motives were exposed, and relationships that once seemed unbreakable buckled under the strain of lies and shattered trust. This was not just another day at General Hospital. It was the turning point of a narrative that had been simmering for weeks. The truth, long buried beneath layers of manipulation and self-preservation, clawed its way into the open and left devastation in its path. It began quietly in Laura's office, where Rocco sought comfort in a way only a child desperate for answers could. His longing to speak to Liesl again wasn't just about curiosity. It was about clarity, about filling in the blanks left by a mother who had made a decision too quickly and without listening. Laura, as always the voice of empathy and wisdom, sensed that something deeper was stirring in the boy. She urged Lulu to reconsider her choices, not out of guilt, but out of love. To deny Rocco a connection to someone who might offer him understanding was to risk losing his trust entirely. Lulu, overwhelmed and defensive, wasn't ready to admit that she may have let her own fears dictate her parenting. But Laura, steadfast in her beliefs, planted a seed of introspection that would soon grow. Meanwhile, beneath the scorching sun of the Metro Court pool, old wounds bled anew. Maxie, standing in as a beacon of calm amidst chaos, tried to bridge the gap between Lulu and Brooklyn, but emotions ran too high. Blame swirled through the air like chlorine vapor, with Brooklyn caught in the eye of the storm. Lulu's accusations about Aubrecht's return stung deeply, especially when layered with the guilt of all that Brooklyn had endured recently. But the past has a way of refusing to stay buried, especially when every conversation serves as a reminder of past decisions and present consequences. Elsewhere at the pool, another drama unraveled as Kai tried to stand tall amidst Trina's disappointment. His confession to Drew about the scandal had fractured something tender between him and Trina. Though Kai maintained that he acted on principle, his stoic resolve did little to soften Trina's pain. She admired honesty, yes, but betrayal stung in its own language. She had believed in him, trusted him to protect her circle from further damage. Now, though she appreciated his honesty, she couldn't pretend the cost hadn't been too high. Her parting words didn't carry hatred, just heartbreak. Just beyond that confrontation, another one brewed in secret. Nina, polished and composed, sat across from Rick Lansing, her hands wrapped tightly around a growing storm. Her decision to hire Rick for Willow's custody case had been calculated, but not cruel, at least not in her mind. She convinced herself that she was protecting the grandchildren, preserving family stability. But even Rick, no stranger to secrets, warned her that concealment always demanded a higher price. Nina refused to listen. She believed in strategy over sentiment. But as Rick left, he knew what she didn't. The more Nina tried to protect what she loved by deception, the more she'd lose it. Back at Elizabeth's house, Willow stirred awake in a haze of regret. Her escape the night before to Carly's was a cry for stability, for something familiar. But now, with Drew out of the picture and her emotional breakdown etched in Michael's memory, she found herself without allies. Nina may have stood by her at times, but there were undercurrents to that support, twists and conditions, half-truths and withheld kindness. At best, it was complicated. At worst, it was dangerous. As Nina met with Maxie again later, she hinted ominously at secrets that could define Willow's future. Without explicitly naming names or stating facts, Nina suggested that Willow was capable of something so destructive, it could change the way the courts viewed her. The truth about Willow's obsessive fixation on Daisy remained buried, but Nina toyed with the idea of using it. Not yet. But perhaps soon. Maxie, sensing the weight of the threat but lacking the full context, was left shaken. Back at the Quartermain estate, Drew walked into the lion's den. Michael, burning with fury and wounded pride, confronted him over what he saw as intentional sabotage. The failed clinic trip in Germany, once seen as a turning point for Willow's healing, now appeared to Michael as a deliberate maneuver by Drew to keep Willow unstable, isolated, and dependent. Drew denied it, but his discomfort spoke louder than his words. Michael, reading the hesitation in his eyes, refused to back down. The chance to mediate custody had passed. And now, in Michael's mind, Drew's betrayal would cost him dearly. As Drew exited, Willow entered. Her presence brought no relief, only a new storm of emotion. She apologized, swore she had regained her clarity, and pleaded for the chance to see Wiley and Amelia. But Michael, still stewing in the chaos of the previous night, wouldn't budge. He was a father first, and he feared what another emotional collapse might do to the children. He had once loved Willow deeply, but love had been eclipsed by fear, and fear had no room for forgiveness. Meanwhile, Curtis met with Portia in hushed tones. She was on the verge of resigning, but Curtis begged her to wait. He believed they were close to erasing the mistakes they'd made, close to rebuilding their reputations. As long as Drew didn't learn the truth about the wedding's unraveling, they had a chance. Because it wasn't Nina who had pulled the final thread. It was Curtis, operating in the shadows, manipulating outcomes to serve a vision he believed would save them all. Portia, weary and heartbroken, agreed to stay, for now. But secrets don't stay buried. At Elizabeth's house, Drew returned, desperate to find Willow. She was gone, but Liz offered more than just her absence. She offered a mirror. Drew had believed he was protecting Willow. But maybe, Liz suggested gently, he was protecting himself. And then the final dagger fell. It wasn't Nina who had wrecked his wedding. It was Curtis. The man he had trusted. The man who had been there through everything. The betrayal, when it surfaced, didn't come with shouting or rage. It arrived with silence and cold realization. And just like that, Drew's world tilted again. His relationship in tatters, his alliances collapsing, and his trust dismantled piece by piece. The question now wasn't just who had betrayed whom. It was what they would all do with the truth now that it had surfaced, and who among them would risk everything to bury it again. Stay tuned for more updates from Port Charles as the web of secrets continues to unravel. With every confrontation, a new truth is born. And with every truth, the stakes only grow higher.